The world burns, not always in flame, but in panic, in collapse, in noise that drowns out the breath. It burns in headlines, in shattered cities, in the trembling hands of those who've lost more than words can carry. It burns in silence, too, in the eyes of the anxious, in the sleepless nights of those who fear what comes next. And in moments like these, the instinct is movement. Panic, argument, control, fix, flee. We must do something. We cry even if that something leads us nowhere. But Marcus Aurelius lived in a world that burned too, a world of war, plague, betrayal, and fading empires. He was not a philosopher in theory. He ruled an empire from within a storm. And still, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The fire outside is real, but the fire is not you, and reacting to its every flicker only feeds it. There is another way, quieter, stronger, harder. To be still, to stay rooted, to hold your center while everything around you loses shape. This is not passivity. This is not weakness. This is clarity. Because not all fires deserve your fuel. Not every crisis deserves your chaos. The world may spin, but you do not have to spin with it. And that is where it begins, with the smallest pause in the middle of the loudest storm. The fire outside rages, let it, but within hold still. They will tell you you're detached, that you do not care, that your silence is apathy, your calm a kind of escape. But stillness is not the absence of care. It is the refusal to be ruled by fear. It is not leaving the world behind. It is facing the world without letting it enter and disorder you. To hold still in chaos is not to abandon life, but to meet it fully, without distortion. Marcus Aurelius sat with chaos, not beside it, not above it, with it. He did not flee from war, from disease, from loss. He governed through them, led through them, wrote through them. And in the quiet pages of his meditations, we hear the echo of a soul not removed, but fully engaged with self, with suffering, with responsibility. He wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. Stillness is not running, it is rooting. It is not closing the eyes, it is seeing with precision. To be still is to feel the full weight of what is happening and not collapse. To witness the flame and not become it. This kind of stillness is earned. It takes discipline, practice, and a willingness to feel everything without reacting to all of it. It is not numbness, it is steadiness. The tree does not hate the storm. It does not argue with the wind. It simply deepens its roots and bends when it must. So too with you. You do not leave the world. You step into it more fully by choosing not to be swallowed by it. Stillness is not the end of motion. It is the beginning of mastery. There is a place inside you that no one can touch. Not war, not betrayal, not the shouting of crowds, nor the silence of abandonment. A still, walled space, not made of stone but of principle, of presence, of choice. Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel, a fortress within the self, where judgment remains free, where the mind is sovereign. He ruled an empire, but knew this truth. You cannot rule anything if you have not learned to rule yourself. Outside, cities fell, alliances broke, the plague devoured. But inside, he returned again and again to that quiet stronghold within. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, he wrote. What you allow into the citadel shapes the entire kingdom of your life. So we build walls not of avoidance, but of clarity, not to shut out the world, but to keep the self from being dissolved by it. This citadel is not closed. It breathes, it listens, but it stands. Here you do not shout, you do not flee, you sit and you think clearly. You say, "This is within my power." That is not. This is true. That is fear in disguise. You learn what belongs and what does not. The world will always try to enter, to break your walls with urgency, outrage, temptation, grief. But if your citadel holds you, remain free. Not from pain, not from loss, but from surrendering your mind to the chaos around you. The citadel is not built in a day. It is forged in every choice to stay awake when fear begs you to react. It is laid stone by stone every time you choose stillness over noise, integrity over impulse, truth over approval. And once it stands, you will know this peace. The fire can rage, but it does not reach you here. So much of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from trying to control what never belonged to us. The actions of others, the shape of the world, the pace of time, the outcome of all we fear and hope. We grip, we push, we resist, and we suffer. Marcus Aurelius knew this well, an emperor, and yet he wrote not of power over nations, but of power over the self. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is not resignation, it is liberation. To focus your energy only where it matters, to stop trying to control the wind, and instead learn to adjust your sail. There is a quiet revolution in this shift. You stop shouting at the sky. You stop demanding that the world bend. You begin to bend yourself with dignity, with clarity, with strength. Ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is no, release it. Not with bitterness, but with peace. If the answer is yes, then take full responsibility. Act, speak, change what you can, own what is yours. This is how the citadel holds. By not wasting its resources on battles it cannot win. The fire outside will burn, history will twist, people will betray, bodies will fail, weather will change. But your choices, your judgments, your principles, they remain yours. And in those, you find your ground. There is nothing passive about letting go of what you cannot control. It is one of the most courageous acts a human can perform. You turn inward, you stand, you choose again and again to direct your life where you actually have power. That is not giving up. That is coming home. There is a kind of despair that whispers, things have never been this bad. You look around at the headlines, the noise, the collapse, and feel like the world is ending. But Marcus Aurelius would have smiled, not with cynicism, but with recognition. Because the world burned then too. Rome was crumbling, borders under siege, famine, disease, treason, friends lost to death, enemies rising. The empire he ruled was shaking under his feet. And still he wrote not about saving the world, but saving the self. Everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it's endurable, endure it. If it's not, stop complaining. It sounds cold, but it isn't. It's clear. The world has always burned, and still people have lived, have loved, have written, have forgiven, have changed. What you face now, others have faced before, and they made it sacred by how they stood within it. History does not remember every horror, but it remembers the ones who remained human in the middle of it. You are not living in unprecedented times. You are living in the eternal cycle of breaking and becoming. And this truth, if you let it in, frees you, because it shows you that fear is not new, pain is not new, collapse is not new, but neither is courage, neither is stillness, neither is the quiet power of a single soul who refuses to let the fire define them. The world has always burned, but the fire has never decided who you are. Only you do that. Something happens, a word, a look, a shift in tone, a breaking headline, and suddenly you are somewhere else. Anger, panic, defensiveness, fear. Reaction is fast. It feels automatic. It feels like truth. But Marcus Aurelius teaches otherwise. He reminds you, you are not what rises first. You are what chooses next. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Between the event and the emotion, there is a space, a flicker, a breath, a choice. You are not your fear. You are the one watching it rise. You are not your anger. You are the one who can pause, question, redirect. This is not easy. It is the hardest work of all. To slow down what wants to explode, to sit with the fire without becoming it. But in that space, that single sacred pause, there is freedom. The world burns and the nervous system flares. But you can step back, not away, but inward. You can say, I feel this, but I do not have to obey it. You are not a slave to every sensation. You are not bound to the first thought that appears. You are not what happens. You are how you meet it. This is the work of philosophy, not to make you unmoved, but to help you move with intention. You are not your reactions. You are your responses. And in a world that screams your calm is not passivity, it is power. It is awareness. It is presence. It is proof that you are not lost in the fire, but standing in it awake. We fear the fire because we only see its destruction, the smoke, the ruins, what's lost. But fire is not only death, it is also transformation. Gold is refined by fire. Steel is tempered in flame, and so too the soul. Marcus Aurelius knew the fire. He sat in its heat, daily wars, disease, political betrayal. The empire cracked beneath his feet. His family broke. His health withered. But he did not ask the fire to stop. He asked himself to endure, to emerge truer, sharper, cleaner. He wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacle is not the enemy, it is the path. The fire is not punishment, it is purification. It burns away illusion, it melts the mask, it scorches what is not essential so that what is essential can remain. In stillness, you begin to see the gift of what seemed unbearable. You no longer say, "Why is this happening to me?" You begin to say, "What is this asking of me?" You no longer ask to be rescued, you ask to be revealed. Because the part of you that survives the fire is the part you can trust. The fire does not lie. It shows you what holds, what breaks, what matters. You do not fear its heat because you have nothing false left to protect. Let it burn, not your life, but your pretense. Let it purify, not your world, but your way of seeing it. The fire does not end you, it tempers you. And when the flames die down, you will not be the same, but you will be more yourself than ever before. In a world that demands reaction, stillness becomes rebellion. When outrage is currency, and noise is the loudest proof of existence, to remain composed is an act of power. They will say you are cold, detached, uncaring. But they do not understand what it takes to sit in the fire and not flinch. Composure is not absence of feeling. It is presence without collapse. It is the refusal to be consumed by what is consuming everything else. Marcus Aurelius was not spared chaos. He wrote his meditations not in peace but in pressure, in the field, in the court, in grief. Still, he wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves crash, it stands firm, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." You do not have to match the world's panic. You do not have to raise your voice just because others shout. You can choose another way, quieter, more deliberate, stronger. The world teaches noise. Philosophy teaches form. And form matters in thought, in movement, in response. Composure is not passive. It is deeply active. It listens. It measures. It breathes when everything begs for reaction. It says, "I see the fire. I feel the flame, but I will not throw myself into it just to feel like I'm doing something." In times of unrest, calm becomes sacred. A still body in the storm becomes a signal that chaos is not all there is. You carry that signal. By remaining composed, you remind others what steadiness looks like. You become a mirror, not of panic, but of possibility. And that is no small thing. Composure is not escape. It is resistance. It is alignment. It is strength that does not ask for recognition. It just is. And in being so, it changes everything. There is a fire that burns not to consume, but to illuminate. Not in the streets, not in the sky, but in you. You feel it when everything else is stripped away, when the noise falls silent, when fear has burned through and you are left alone with only breath and will and clarity. It is not the fire of rage, not the fire of destruction. It is the fire of presence. The quiet, steady flame that lives beneath the surface, beneath the armor, beneath the panic, beneath the old stories you were told about who you are. This is what Marcus Aurelius guarded. Not his rule, not his name, not even his empire, but this, the flame of discipline, dignity, awareness. "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be," he wrote. "Be one." Stillness was never about retreat. It was the space where this flame could breathe. A space where you remember that you are not the world's reaction, not the chaos of the moment, not the storm. You are the still I within it. And from that stillness you burn. Not wildly, not destructively, but cleanly, with purpose. You are not here to fight every fire. You are here to carry your own. And when you walk through the world burning softly from within, untouched by the wind, unshaken by the storm, you become something rare. Not a hero, not a savior, just a soul that does not tremble when the world does. Because stillness is not the absence of fire. It is the place where fire becomes form, where chaos becomes clarity, where silence holds its shape. And that flame, if you guard it, will never go out.